And with the most recent controversy when it comes to not only Kanye West and Kyrie Irving and whether or not they are anti-Semitic, it is important for us to look at some of the material that has gotten Kyrie actually suspended from the Brooklyn Nets and to discuss what was actually shared by Kyrie and a little bit of the backstory, not only behind the director of the film, the producer of the film, and also the writer of the book that the film was made out of, is none other than Vocab Malone to discuss this very, very important topic. I think it might be just good to kind of get some background and some history between Kanye West and Kyrie and really how we got to this place.
Right. So Kyrie Irving tweeted out a documentary that's available on Amazon. It's over 3 hours. It's produced by Ron Dalton Jr. It's called Hebrews to Negroes. And he just tweeted it out with the link. And that's what's caused all this controversy because people then took a look at it and realized it was anti-Semitic, basically accusing the Jewish people of worshiping the devil, and also included a unhealthy dose of Holocaust revisionism, not outright denial, but minimizing, and a number of other things, accusing the Jews of controlling the UN and being overall imposters and knowing they're imposters and the primary persecutors of the true people of God, who, according to this documentary, are the Black Americans, primarily in the Western Hemisphere, although this would include some folks on the continent of Africa as well, depending on which Hebrew Israelite you ask. But Dalton's perspective would definitely include people, for example, the Igbo and others. So he tweeted that out, and he's got all kinds of beliefs going on. He calls himself an omniist. He thinks all kinds of things are true. He's doing this with sage before a game. He's observing Ramadan, not eating a year ago, not taking the COVID shot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And now he's saying, hey, I know who I am. And in fact, if you look at Kyrie's apology, it ends with him saying, I know who I am. That's actually the last thing. Let me just read this here. I had no intentions to disrespect any Jewish cultural history regarding the Holocaust or perpetuate any hate. I am learning from this unfortunate event and hope we can find understanding between us all. I am no different than any other human being. I'm a seeker of truth and knowledge, and I know who I am. It's fascinating because it ends with, I know who I am. And the indication is, I'm a true Hebrew, and the documentary would be evidence. I don't think he came to that perspective just strictly from what's called a documentary. I think he held that already. And that's what Ron Dalton Jr. and those who support this claim is that, hey, we're the true Hebrews. Those other guys, not so much. And that's what the whole title is about. Hebrews to Negroes, the renaming, misidentification, due partially to the identity theft perpetuated upon them by such conspirators, according to this documentary, as the Roman Catholic Church, Europeans, especially the Jews, and a number of other conspirators as well. So that's the essence of it, and it's caused a big kerfuffle. So a lot of people have heard about this and are confused what's going on, and now Amazon's talking about perhaps putting a disclaimer in front of the work, but it's sold really well since this whole snafu. The thing has shot to #1. The book that the film is based upon, it was just 3-volume set, has shot way up. I mean, I got some of the charts in front of me, and so has the movie itself. So Ron Dalton Jr. is definitely the one who has benefited from this. I'm looking at the Apple Books preview from a few days ago, and it's #9. You got Matthew Perry's book is #1. Zachary Levi's book is #10 on Apple Books. Bono's book's #3. John Grisham book's #7. And #9 is Ron Dalton Jr., Hebrews to Negroes. And I'm looking at it right now. It's a pretty shocking thing. So the winner of this all has really been the creator of this documentary. And to a certain extent, some of the stuff that's happened to Kyrie, some of the Hebrew Israelites view as vindication of their claims about what they view as a rather nefarious imposter group.
Yeah, it's really interesting, too. I think maybe you speak to this as well, Vocab, because I think a lot of people are seeing what happened. They saw Kanye West tweet out about how he was going to go roughshod on the Jews and so forth. And it was like, okay. And he started kind of naming names, calling Shaq out and so forth. And then all of a sudden, Kyrie then posts this, takes it down, actually, which didn't seem like he was going to at first. And then next thing you know, all this stuff, we need to take this stuff down from Amazon. and so forth. And it kind of reminded me of that pastor, I believe he was out in Florida, that wanted to burn all the Qurans. He wanted to have the Quran burning day.
Yeah.
And I think for guys like myself and you and us at Good Fight Ministries, we actually want the Quran because we want to be able to show why it's fallacious. And in the same way with Mr. Dalton here, his film and books, it seems like if we just burnt them and then canceled everyone else, it doesn't seem like that's going to help us in terms of going after what is really the truth.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, put it mildly, of censorship regardless of who it's for. I think that the burden of proof should always be upon whoever's doing the censoring. And I understand, people say, well, this is a private company, this, that. Okay, I understand all that. But we can make conditions across the civil spectrum so tight that nobody really, even though you could say, well, you can speak out, it's almost as if they really can't speak out about as far as what they believe. I do not think that most of what Kyrie Irving is saying is true. I do not think a lot of what Kanye, although there's truth mixed in there, I don't think that a lot of what he's saying in regards to the Israelism stuff is true. But I don't want him to be censored for that. But it does get murky because almost every version of Hebrew Israelism that I've ever seen, almost always, not always, but almost always, contains also a healthy dose, and I say healthy tongue-in-cheek, of anti-Semitism. And so the question is, well, what do you do with that? And so, Holocaust minimization, I think, is one example. But, I talked about this on my show. We talked about this before this show. Ron Dalton Jr. in the book, Hebrews to Negroes, compares the Jewish people to The Thing from the sci-fi horror movie, how they, take over the host victim and then are hunted down and stuff. And they often destroy the host victim that they end up imitating in the process. And talk about dehumanizing. It literally is saying the Jewish people are like the thing in regards to the true Hebrews, who Dalton would say are Black Americans primarily. I mean, that is definitely dehumanizing. And you say, okay, and that's just one place in this book. This is a really long book. Let me just read some of this. All throughout the movie, everyone was trying to kill the Thing, but the Thing didn't know why everyone was trying to kill it. This is because everyone knew that the Thing was an imposter, all caps. The Thing took on the identity of whoever it got in contact with, often doing away with the original organism that it copied, just like in the movie Terminator. It's weird that the way this guy writes, by the way, is not academic. I hear all these Hebrews saying how educated Dalton is. This is a very stream of conscious, amateur hour book, but nonetheless, it's popular now on Amazon and Apple thanks to this. This is how the European Jews have replaced the identity of the original Jews Hebrews with themselves by using name changes to biblical last names, replacing the word Israelite with Jew, and adopting the language writing of the Hebrews. They have assimilated themselves to be the original Jews or Hebrew Israelites to the whole world. Here's how the name change began for the Jews in Europe. So this is directly from the book. So you say, well, it is anti-Semitic. It's just like when Farrakhan got kicked off. I'm no fan of Nation of Islam or Farrakhan. I'm a Christian. I love Jesus. I'm a Christian apologist. That stuff's heretical and problematic and destroys the gospel if it was true. Okay. But I don't think it should be removed from the marketplace of ideas. We can discuss everything else. Why can't we discuss these ideas and attack them and show that they're wrong? But just the silencing, the censoring, I'm not for that. So you can be pro-free speech and still be anti-Hebrew Israelism, like me.
Amen to that.